All right, what's going on, guys? This is Logan with West Desert Wheeler, back with another tire test. Today we're doing some performance class 2 tires. Now, these 2 tires have genuinely been impressing me. I've driven these, I think these have one real strong outing on them, and then the other tires from Jconcepts I've been running for a little bit. So they're not like super scrubbed in or anything. The Jconcepts actually don't scrub in that much, really. It's been very interesting to see that, but they perform good. So these are the Reefs Scrub tires, and I've seen these things been pulling some excellent lines from my friends like Brad and Wyatt, as well as other people. But yeah, I want to see how they stack up against these Jconcepts green compound tires, the Bossmans. Those are one of my favorite tires in cut and shuts, and in class 2 on this truck in particular, they do really well. Both wheel and tire setups are very similar, so they both have Vanquish wheels. They are the narrow 1.9 Vanquish wheels, brass rings in the front because this truck prefers brass rings in the front. Unfortunately, they're on different hubs. So the Reefs has a 350 hub, and the front hubs on those are brass. So there's a slight weight advantage to the Reefs tires. It's just the stuff I had on the shelf, and then my other wheels have 475 hubs, so they're a little bit wider, and those are all SLWs. They are not brass. So that's how it goes sometimes, guys. This isn't perfect comparisons, this isn't perfect science, but it's interesting to see which tire puts down more traction with the setup it's given. They also have SL3D squid inserts in all 4 of both sets of tires because SL3D kicks ass, and you should definitely pick up a set if you haven't yet. So here's the truck we're going to be using in today's testing. It is a Rock Pirates VRD Kraken chassis with a VRD stance with an upgraded transmission, so it has the lightweight gears in there with high overdrive, and then I straight axle swapped it. It's got SSD brass knuckles out there, a Reefs 777 direct power 3S servo. We got the Hobbywing Fusion in there, and then we've got our shocks from Axial. These are the SCX Pro, and we've got these bands, the double bands on the front of this truck as well to help it from unloading, but it still allows max articulation. So pretty sweet setup here. This is my favorite class 2 truck. I've had it for 2.5 years now, and this thing absolutely crushes it. So neither sets of these tires are new. I did do a video recently, and I'm going to follow the exact same obstacles that I did with my Vanquish 4-dice running these obstacles, but those were 4.5-inch tall tires. So I'm curious to see how the class 2 truck compares and its overall weight and how the traction lays down with this truck, seeing where it can or may not be able to pull up stuff. So for example, I know that my 4-dice was able to crawl up this with one of the sets of tires. These Reefs were just hunting. There we go. We found the line. Took just a little bit of wiggling, but we did find a line. So this wall just continues to go up and get steeper, and then it has these little ledges that are very hard to crawl across. So I'm trying to just crawl it first and not give it throttle. This is most likely going to take a slight bump to get through here. That was pretty close. Oh, there it is. We were able to maneuver the rear end of the truck into a position where it would want to pull up. I got the Fusion motor in here from Hobbywing. It's a Fusion Pro, so able to get some smooth controlled wheel speed on this guy. Those things are rock solid. I'm a big fan of the Hobbywing products. Come on, let's find a way up here. So the Scrub is a very interesting tire because in my Pro Line tires that I like to drive, the leading edges are square. And it seems like once you get them worn in to where they have a broken leading edge, they start to work better. So this tire comes right out of the package with a pre-built-in broken leading edge. Yeah, we're not crawling this, so we need to get a little more aggressive. Get up there, come on. And that left rear does not want to push us up. Come on. Whoa. Got a little too excited there. All right, so let's take a little momentum. Let's get this thing landed at the top, and then we'll see if we can crawl out there from there. not going straight out the top truck. Let's bring it over here. See if we can crawl through the crack. That front sidewall locks in, pulls the truck up, and then we cut left. There we go, nice little pull. Now I am going to edit this to where you see the obstacle repeated, but I'm gonna continue to drive all these obstacles directly in a row since I have the tires on the truck. So yeah, there may be some weird voiceover work here because I don't remember exactly what I said and when I said it. And then once I edit it, it's gonna get all mixed up. So hope you guys enjoy the content. All right, here is our Jconcepts tires. These are the Bossmans. These things I have been having really good luck with, so I'm curious to see how they do for us. A little bit of sliding. They pulled through quicker, for sure. The Reefs, we had to find it. These kind of just wanted it. So we're gonna try and climb right here. We may have to work our way about a truck width to the passenger side. Yep. And essentially what we do, the sun has moved, sorry guys. I'm apologizing for the sun moving, just so you guys are aware. Here we go. Yeah, it worked up that ledge quick. Really trying to find some way to pull it up. It's either gonna do it or it's not. It's up to the truck. And I've been a lot more mellow on the throttle to this point than the Reefs tires, because the Reefs tires weren't responding to real low end stuff, so. Yeah, kind of hitting the same speed bump here. Not really wanting to. It will start to pull up, but then that left rear stops us again. Oh, it's close. I like that. Ah, that was close. Oh, yeah. Sweet. Giving the nod to the Jconcepts on that climb for sure. It just seemed like it wanted it more. All right, we're gonna try a different obstacle than we did with the Ford Ice because this truck is just more capable. So let's see what happens when we drop down off of this. And then we're gonna try and keep it turned. So we're gonna pay attention to how much it pushes out to the edge of the ledge, how the truck reacts. We're just looking for some differences here. Now the rear came down and the front's still high on the wall, which is good because we need to keep it balanced as we go. But we can't go too crazy because I don't want to roll. And you can see these scrubs already have some feathered lugs to them. So like they break in really quick, which is cool. This thing's about to tip over. There we go. Nice. Front right was hanging out in the air for a second, suspension settled. I'm running SCX Pro shocks on this guy. I've had really good luck with the Pro shocks. They haven't leaked bad for me at all, and I've been a big fan. So the rear's gonna slip off, but yeah, so the rear kind of slipped off there at the end. We'll see if the Jconcepts end up doing that same pattern. All right, let's try this again. I don't really remember what I'm looking for here. Remember I turned in a bit, and then we turned back. Gonna put some pressure on the shoulder of that tire as we turn and come downhill. This really is supposed to be like a downhill traction obstacle while navigating some ledges. This truck's also wider, so it's gonna push this tire closer to the edge, but also make it more stable because it's wider. So our front right's still pretty high on the wall here. As it starts to come down here, I'm gonna need to straighten up to allow that tire to come back down the wall. You gotta love a hobby wing fusion with how slow you can control these things. Although the revolvers with the 32-bit ESCs these days are also exceptionally good. But they don't quite have the never cog ability of the Fusion, in my opinion. That tire popped it right back up on that front right. That kind of caused a bind and forced that left rear off though. Yeah, so I think that was a little bit my fault in pushing that front right back into the wall that forced that rear off. Okay, now we're gonna go back to what we did in our previous testing. We're gonna come up here, we're gonna turn right in the bottom of that little crack. Truck's gonna climb this wall, and then our slider is gonna help us pivot around. Aluminum sliders from Rock Pirates RC. Keep that sidewall buried into the rock, and she pulls you up and over. Let's keep it going. We're on straight axles. So once that rear levels out, it's up top, then we can turn into this ledge at the top. And it pulls it up. I'm also gonna try and get the rear up nice and even as well. Sweet, clean pull. We're gonna come up here, and then we turned right in that crack from what I said. I do remember saying that. And this obstacle is weird because it tempts you to straighten up, but what it really likes is when you turn harder into this flat face, it'll pull you right through it doing that. So both tires with an excellent shoulder on the tire, able to pull the whole truck up. The rear's slipping along rather than climbing. There it finally goes. We're gonna get this rear up and level, and then crank it into this ledge, and then kind of straighten up once you kind of want to hit those two cross tires at the same time. That'll help get the belly up and through this obstacle. Nice. Rear tire cruises through. That was pretty cool. Just bumped into a couple guys with some sweet Toyotas cruising along out here. Stopped and talked to them for a minute. Good bunch. Here we go. Nice, good, easy crossover. So the tires slipped a little bit there as that front left had to climb that ledge. That's all right. But so far, man, these scrubs are really doing well. There's not been much that they're really struggling on. That first hill is just so steep with no hook. It's hard for any tire to pull up that without spinning. It's funny, in the time that I filmed this last tire test with the Ford Ice and this tire test, which has only been, I don't know, maybe a week, there's a giant boulder that now sits at the top of this climb, so I'm unable to go really much further than just this little obstacle there. Seemed like we saw less tire spin there than the Reefs, so interesting. Here we go. Really good pull. As far as the temperature is concerned, it's actually pretty cool on the rocks themselves. They're probably like 40 to 50 degrees, but then the air temperature is somewhere around 65 to 70. We'll see if it'll crawl. The 4.5s would not crawl this. There's no hook to crawl, so I don't really expect them to do this. So we're gonna back up and give it a mild bump, see what happens. Okay, got up, got the hook. It's funny, as much as you want traction in a tire, sometimes it's just as important that they let go so that they can be maneuvered and wiggle around, like shifting the rear axle of the truck below the truck. Okay, there's an opening for that skid to come through once it goes a little more driver. Get up there. Yeah, and like this kind of obstacle is so hard to be scientific with. You really have to wheel it. You have to see what the truck wants and let it go until it works. Like, I can't make the exact same steering inputs on the other tires to compare them. We're just gonna see how much one struggles versus the other, which could very easily come down to line choice versus the tire performance. Able to pull itself up and out. To make things interesting, let's do this again and see how repeatable that was. See if I can magically pull it really good this time. So I'll drive further up before I turn left. Maybe. kind of smash the hood through instead. Drive up onto the ledge this time. The rear still fell down. It didn't have the wheelbase to hold it up. So we got to go left. Not getting the push we need. There it finally is, right at the end. And up and over will come further passenger to keep the belly off maybe. Yeah, interesting. So I'm a really big fan of this lug style as well. Not only do these tires perform well, they also look cool, and it was UC Fab, Kyle at UC Fab, who mentioned that these look like the Pitbull Braven Berserker tires. Now they're not exact copies, but they're pretty similar down to the lightning bolts on the sidewall and whatnot, so kind of interesting. They may be based on that, I'm not sure. Here we go, let's try and drive further up. And then get that skid out of there. A little bit wider here. Come on. Now, the width is hurting us there. Yep, ended up on our belly again, so we gotta wiggle until we get the belly to fall back like that. It'll pull up right here. Then we can climb the ledge. Rear end still falls down. That's a wheelbase issue. Trying to turn right. Pulls at the last second, just like the other tires. And then up and over the top, we're gonna belly out. That's probably my worst approach to that top part yet. Yeah, very similar, very, very similar. All right, let's see if we can do this one more time. Get it lined up, do a little bump. And then this time we're not gonna drive up, we're just gonna turn it hard left. Onto our belly, keep it moving sideways. Fall back, pull back up. And from here it's gonna repeat, right? We haven't changed anything as far as the point we ended up in. Yeah, the wheelbase can't reach a hook up there, so it just does the same thing over. Go all the way down, turn at the last second, pull up, shoot over the top. Since we're in the area, let's test the Sidehill on these guys. This is the entrance to Mousetrap. Let's see if we can, I think we're already not going where we want to be, honestly. I think we'll be okay. Yeah, the front's gonna pull through. It's gonna get more sideways here in a second though. That rear end's definitely slipping on this. That's because this truck has a high amount of overdrive, and it one-shot it. It cruised through that pretty well. Nice work. Entrance into Mousetrap. First Sidehill. Yep, that one didn't pull up either. Seems like our front's slipping down a good amount as well. Actually gonna drive a little more straight here. Get that front driver secured on that little, it's a small hump, it's hard to discern on the camera probably. Rear end slipping as well. That left rear is gonna push up on that hump that I got those front tires on. I got a little closer to the edge. Is that the tire slipping more, or is that the track width? Is it line choice? It's hard to say. The crack into Mousetrap. Now this is definitely a spot where we're going to see some differences because of those different width hubs. So just in a V-notch, the different width of your vehicle is going to put your tires on different places of each wall. So there will be differences based on that. But this is for fun. It's all good. We're just generally trying to see how the traction is applied with each tire. So far these scrubs are cruising through this. Not having to take very many repositions with the truck. Got a little bit of a shudder through there. There's a bump on the left wall that usually causes trucks to do that as the rear axle comes through. Stayed up on the driver's side, drove right out. Smashed it, that was awesome. Into the crack we go with the Jconcepts. This truck absolutely motored through it with those Reefs tires. They did excellent through here, truly good. We're gonna see if we get that little bobble. My front tires are next to where it will make the rear tire spin. It's that little tiny nub in the wall. It did not, but this truck's wider and that will make a difference. Overall, both did very, very good through here. This truck does not care about this crack. It is not a challenge for it. All right, and finally we have this obstacle. It's an incline into this vertical wall with a little bit of a notch to push into. And that right rear ends up on that little bump on the rock and tries to stop it from climbing. You can usually get it to pull on this right side, but then that leaves you really poorly set up for your rear tires to come through with the drag axle. And this guy might have the weight bias to pull it off, where my Ford Ice didn't quite do that. Yeah, and the front grip helped pull it that way as well. Not bad. Not bad at all. So we went to the right, cut back left, and the front end was able to hold it down. Well, already going into this last obstacle, guys, I've pretty well decided what I think about each tire. Both of them are certainly worth checking out. The Reefs tire as a new offering on the market is very good. These tires are not too old either. I mean, maybe a year-ish, maybe not even that long. But I really like the tread pattern on these. The performance backs it up as well. The Jconcepts green compound always works good on my terrain. But if that compound doesn't work good on your terrain, try out the Reefs. It is a different compound, so something worth checking out. Okay, let's see if we can get the rear positioned how we want. Yeah, no tire slipping at all. Got the truck right where I wanted. Again, a slight edge to these tires on how it handled that obstacle. So keep in mind, guys, these products will act differently depending on the exact terrain you're on. This is just results based on my exact area. So if you're in this area, you know, maybe you could follow this with some pretty good expectations of what will happen. However, different grip levels of rock react differently to all the different compounds. So there may be instances where those Reefs tires have a slight edge over these Jconcepts, which could be very interesting. And if you guys have experienced that through like a tire test of some kind, definitely comment below. Also, if you guys haven't tried a tire test on your rocks in an area, give it a shot. Just come up with a few lines. This isn't like super difficult scientific stuff. Ooh, that was nice. I mean, I just came up with a few lines that I kind of know what to expect out of a rig. And then I go and drive it and see if I can tell the difference. It does help to record it because there are sometimes you miss details that you see later on in the videos. Like in editing, I might notice something more than how I narrate it live. But that's how it goes, you know. It's hard for me to remember every little detail as we crawl along. I'm also just having fun. But I am happy with my tire choice in this truck. These tires are what I've been running lately on it, and I've felt that they've done really well for the truck. So to go out and compare them and find out that they do have a slight edge on competitors' tires, that's great. But also, I really like the idea behind the Reefs Scrub. The pretty broken in idea with those leading edges being a ramp instead of a sharp edge is super cool, and I love the originality with that. That's freaking awesome. Even the sidewalls have a pre-scrubbed design to them. So, really awesome stuff there. Thanks to SkyRC for helping supply me with tires as always. I picked these Jconcepts up at SkyRC as well as the Reefs tires from SkyRC. So SkyRC Hobby Shop in St. George, Utah. Go say what's up to Cody. He'll get your truck hooked up with what it needs. All right, guys, that's the end of our test. I hope you enjoyed the content. Comment down below which tires you might go pick up next based on what you saw here today. Although the Reefs tires are legitimately good. I've seen them do some stuff. And like I say, slightly different rocks can make different results, so be sure to check them out as well. Thanks to SL3D for their continued support as well. Be sure to go over there, buy some inserts for whatever tires you got, help out Neil They're legitimately good. If they weren't good, I would not run them because I want max performance out of my trucks. That's just flat out how I work. So thank you guys. I greatly appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next one. Keep the rubber side